Greetings. I thought I'd make a quick video. I played this game against the chess.com, just the engine, the 1700. If you've followed some of my channel, you've seen some of my other videos where I've taken on different personalities and different puzzles and things. And it seems like the 15 to 1800 are the more popular. So I thought I would just play this game for fun the other evening, and it ended up being a pretty good game that displayed a lot of fundamentals. So I thought I would go ahead and turn it into a video. I played the black pieces here, so I'm going to try to make it quick, which some of you may be laughing about now because that's difficult for me. But if you hang with me to the end, I'll show you a really good way to have a strong ending and cutting off the king and some good fundamentals here. So let's get to it. So the computer said I played at 89.7 and the engine at 1700 played 79.5. Excuse me. So let's see here. Let's get through this. I thought I'd do the d4, the queen's pawn opening. And so usually when I do this, I usually start to favor trying to develop on the queen side first when I open with this. You find whatever works best for you, but if that's something you normally, as opposed to doing this, excuse me, sorry about that. I thought I'd develop the queen side first with the queen pawn. So let's get to it here. So there's nothing real creative going on here. As you can see, these are all standard openings. I like messing up my opponent's pawn structure. My opponent responds in kind here soon, as you'll see, but it's because of my own mistakes. But okay, so just remember, try to control the center and get your pieces out there and get them developed. That's what you want to be concentrating on early on. So yeah, here's where I made a mistake. I can't retake with my queen because my opponent's knight owns this, and so now that's what I was talking about. I'm going to have a double stacked pawn as well. And there it is. So in these openings, I looking for any kind of small advantage. I don't like this knight in my territory, so I'm going to want to get him out of there. There, I'm trying to kick him out. I did think about this when I was playing the game. When I was playing the game, I didn't have this analysis or anything like that going. So, okay. So, all right. Yeah, usually you wouldn't want to step in front of your king like this with your queen, just because of future ideas like this and like this, where it's pinned. Okay, and so this is exactly what I was thinking, is I see that queen in front of that king, and I want to put an absolute pin on that. So something to watch out for. Okay, so now the queen is under attack, and this pawn is defended here. And so queen doesn't take, of course, but I was hoping this pawn would, just to open up this file and, just future ideas like that. When you get to this 1700, it's very respectable ELO. Just remember this, it's all about future ideas. Not falling for traps, of course, but you want to think about future ideas like, here's an open file. I own this. That's great. So here's a semi-open file. It only has one pawn on it. So I'd like to own this file. So if you're stuck and you don't know what to do, if you see a semi-open file, all things being equal, try to own that file. Just things like that. Okay. So yeah, there my opponent really messed up their pawn structure, but that's okay. That's good for me. So I'm trying to keep this going, and I'm sorry. I wanted this to be a quick video because I want to get to the end. There's a really neat thing that happens in the end game I think you'll appreciate. And of course, I'd really like for this file to be open so that I could bring one, probably this rook into the action. But at 1700, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that. So, okay, yeah, I could have started working this, have these rooks double stacked, which would be very powerful. Then I could come up here for check and all kinds of things. I did not see that in the game, I confess. So I wanted to get this queen out of there, but I should have took my time with that a little bit more. Like I said, I wasn't really planning on making this a video. I was just playing for fun one evening and thought, well, especially with the ending, it really covers a lot of good basics. Yeah, I should have stayed where I was at. One of the things, if you want to promote a pawn, usually it's best to get a major piece under the pawn so you can promote it up. But okay, so let's keep going because I really want to get to the ending. And so now here, I know my opponent has a dark squared bishop. So I always tell myself, try to stay off the dark squares. Now, looks like I just broke my own rules, but this pawn owns this. This knight owns this, so I felt like it was safe. I wanted to get back and own this file, this semi-open file. So, like every rule, there's always exceptions. Now, I realize I have a danger in that my king is back here, and I could, I have to be very, very mindful of having just a smother mate, nowhere to go. So that's one thing that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Okay, so there's check, has to be dealt with. And we're going to do an exchange here. And I'm going to pick up this loose pawn that could potentially be trouble for me, you never know. And this knight is guarding this space right now, so if the bishop were to come here for some reason, it would be, pretty derelict to take that, because this rook would come down here and then own all this, and then it would be mate. So I have to be very careful about that situation. Okay, so here I'm trying to put the king. In the end game, you want your kings up. People have a tendency to hide their kings. Get them out there, get them towards the center, get them working. And, note to myself, stay off the green, stay off the dark squares. There's something to think about. Yeah, this was just a total mistake on my part. I honestly don't know what I was thinking here. Yeah, that knight was actually in a good spot. I brought it to the center of the board, which is cool, but here, yeah, I don't know. This was just a flat-out mistake on my part. So yeah, and so lost a pawn because of it, but that's all right. We're gonna hang in there and keep going. That's part of it. So now I like having my rook up here eyeing these pawns. On this 7th rank, I feel like I can just drop down and threaten whatever I want, whenever I want. But maybe I should have took a little extra caution and got this king going first, and the computer says I should have, so definitely should have. That's why you should always review your games. It does help. Okay, so I'm going to try to clean out these pawns, and I still have to be careful. Now, this knight is protected with this pawn, so that's great. And I'm up 3, so up 3 pawn. So I have a major and a minor. My opponent has a major and a minor. My opponent has 1 pawn. I've got 4 pawns. So I'm just looking to trade down and make a simple end game. If you're down material, you probably don't want to do trades, but since I'm the one that's up material, I'm just looking to trade. Okay. So this pawn is being troublesome. This bishop owns that, so I can't necessarily just take it. Okay, so I'm looking to get a queen into the game, but I'm going to show you about cutting off the king here for just a minute, and it's a sure way to win these end games. So now this is protected, because I don't want to lose that pawn now, because that's going to be my queen. So here, my knee-jerk reaction was, like I said, I was just playing for fun. I would take with this, but I don't want to mess up my pawn structure. So I used my king. The king needs to get in the game anyway. Okay, so there's check. I finally get that troublesome pawn. Now, the king is cut off. I own this whole file here. So the king cannot get past, and that's what I want to show you. That's the biggest takeaway from this video. So now I've got my pawn structure. Remember earlier I didn't mess up my pawn structure, and this is why. So now the king has to come into play and start working. He's got to earn his keep here. So this king, my opponent is pretty frustrated at this point because that king is cut off. There's no way to stop me from promoting without losing this rook, and this is exactly what happens here. Okay, so now remember, this is protected by that pawn, so okay, so I'm going to keep that king cut off and get to a pawn, and promote my pawn to a queen. And so okay, now here, this is something else I want to show you. If you've seen some of my other videos, I've talked about this and talked about this. So I own all this. That king is trapped now in this box. I want to make this box smaller and smaller until it's finally mate. And so now I had a chance to keep the king on this bottom rank here, and it's really trapped in now. So let's get that other major piece into the game. And so, and there it is. So the biggest thing I want the audience to take away from this is to, I made a few mistakes. Hang in there. Don't worry about it. Analyze your game when you're done, and when you're up, just keep trading down. That was my secret to this game. I was able to cut off that king, and then that's it. It's over from there. With proper play, proper chess technique, you should be winning every time. If you can get to an end game where you're up even just a pawn, and you can get that king cut off, then proper play. Of course, I've had plenty of videos out there where I've had strong endings and should have won and messed it up. I am good at that. So I hope that helps. And if you like this video, help me out, give me a thumbs up, leave your comments, let me know what you think. It'll inspire me to make more. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.